There was a time when popular video games featuring a time loop mechanic could be counted on one hand. Majora's Mask. But over the years, the concept of reliving a set period of time has almost turned into a genre in and of itself. Ladies and gentlemen, the year 2021, where every game and its mother was essentially one big time loop. Returnal, Deathloop, The Forgotten City. I'm assuming Loop Hero has some sort of, I never played it, but they baked loop right into the name, so let's just throw that one in there too. But out of all the Groundhog Day simulators, the aforementioned Majora's Mask acts almost as a blueprint for those that would follow in its ever-looping footsteps. And it's a formula that the sexy Brutale followed to a T. The Sexy Brutale is a game I've been wanting to talk about for years. And not just because it has sexy in the name, but because I think it's probably one of the most under-the-radar triple S rank experiences you're bound to find in a single downloadable title. This game is really good.
If I could save time in a mansion.
Tonight, in this very mansion, every guest will be murdered in increasingly complex and sadistic ways. And this cycle will repeat, day after day, until you can put a stop to it.
Oh, how fun! Yay!
In typical time loop fashion, the game is all about recognizing patterns. Who does what on any given day, and then manipulating those routines to change the outcome. It's a puzzle game with an impeccable sense of style and atmosphere. While the order of everything is predetermined, you're given a lot of freedom to move about the mansion to attempt increasingly more complex rescue operations. Everything you do must be done in the shadows. You're unable to directly interfere with the guests or the staff. Attempting to do so will prompt a miniature chase scene, pushing you to another room. But with the ability to peek through doors and hide out in wardrobes, you can move about each room without too much worry. Just like in real life.
He doesn't see me though, because I sneak behind him.
Where the Sexy Brutale shines is in its excellent sense of progression. To keep the spoilers to a minimum, each guest you encounter has a sort of specialty, a unique trait that defines their character and is tied directly to their mask. Upon rescuing them, you'll gain these abilities for yourself, allowing you to progress further into the mansion and even ferret out secrets in older areas with these new perspectives. Coupled with the unique murder plots, the well-written dialogue will constantly have you searching for that smoking gun. Not every murder is as blatant as knife plus chest equals death. And the scenarios surrounding each guest are wonderfully diverse in the setups and executions.
Pun.
As mentioned, it takes a lot of inspiration from Majora's Mask, from gaining new powers to the emphasis placed on time travel. Hell, if you take the main character's name and spell it backwards, and then put it in a blender with like a bunch of other letters, it spells Majora. But the fat has been trimmed. There's very little here that feels like a waste of your time. The mansion features hidden passages, a clever looping structure, and tons of secrets. It's big, without feeling bloated. I'd say there's only one moment in the late game where I was confused on what I was supposed to be doing, because I felt like it gave me absolutely nothing to go on. Or maybe I'm just an idiot. I also feel like the story trips over the finish line a bit. Like, nothing horrible, but not all that memorable either. Gets a little too wacky for my taste. Like, they're clearly attempting to build up to some pretty big revelations, and I'm just sitting there like,
oh, okay, woohoo! I'll get the trumpets out, sorry.
That said, I've played this game with several friends, and after the first half hour or so, it turns into an all-nighter. It's just one of those experiences that's incredibly easy to recommend and get sucked into. And frankly, I feel like it doesn't get the love it deserves. So here's your call to action. Go buy the Sexy Brutale. It's well worth the investment. Also, go watch What We Do in the Shadows if you haven't already. It's really funny.
You really are the most devious bastard in New York City.